All right, so I'm going to talk about what's old is new again. This is something I'm super passionate about, and hopefully you guys will see some of that passion and enjoy this. So first and foremost, you're probably thinking, who the hell is this guy? I've never heard of him. So in order to understand some of my own business and this topic, I think it's important that I give you a little bit of background because it's that background that's going to give you context for why I'm so passionate, I'm so bullish about these things that we're going to talk about today. So, who is this guy? Well, I'm going to take you guys way back to 1985. For some of you, that is before you were born, and that makes me feel old, but it's a reality. So, in 1985, that cute little kid up there in the right corner, that's me. And what you're seeing is my parents' first business. So as a 9-year-old, I was involved with their business, which that's this particular business. They went on to start many businesses after this, but this particular business was a beauty supply. And as you can see, we're putting the business together. We're literally putting wallpaper on the walls. You also see that I'm standing in front of the cash register rather. So you're seeing some baskets there behind me. And those I didn't know at the time, but what I was doing when I sat behind the cash register is I was doing add-on sales, right? So I learned a lot of things that a lot of people don't learn in entrepreneurship. They're well into adulthood. As a child, I'm taking deposits to the bank, which is weird. I wouldn't recommend you do that today, but I was taking deposits to the bank, helping my dad with different marketing ideas. We shop back then, so it was a little bit more difficult. Doing things like inventory, all these little things, and just really getting a great education. Most importantly, sitting behind that cash register and interacting with our customers, interacting with the people that were coming in every day. So that's 1985. Now we're going to fast forward to 1995. In 1995, I went to work. This is gentleman here. Actually, I went to work for his father at the time. This guy's name is Nate Morgan. His father was Ted Morgan, who's since passed away. Went to work for a 100-year-old jewelry company. Yep, family-owned jewelry company. So you can imagine what that was like. But what I learned through that experience is how you stay in business for 100 years. You stay in business for 100 years, and they're still in business, by the way, and thriving. But you stay in business for 100 years, understanding relationships, building relationships with your clients. And so through working with them and moving up in their organization and moving into management, I really learned how to connect with people quickly in some cases. Obviously, you can imagine in a jewelry, someone walks in this, you've got some sort of connection really quick. But the key to our success was developing the relationship after that, right? So that I might see that same person 4, 5, 6, 7 times in the same year, right? That's how you're successful in that. So that's what I learned is really the value of building relationships to create a business that's going to be there for the long haul. 2001, I went to work for a company by the name of McLeod USA, and this was my first step into corporate sales in the corporate world. McLeod USA was a major telecom player at the time. There might be a couple of you guys that remember them. Most of you probably will not. But at the time, they were the largest company in the world at doing what it was that they did, which was competitive local exchange carrier. So they were competing with the likes of Bell South and Quest and Southern Bell in terms of selling business to business phone service. So what I learned from these guys is this great way of doing business that they call beat copying. So you can see the cops there on your screen there. Beat copying was a philosophy centered around developing relationships with the people, with the businesses that are in your geographic territory. So let me explain to you guys what we did. So I went to a specific geographic territory, and I would walk that territory every day, knock on every single door. And at all those doors, I'd have a bag full of what we called tchotchkes, right? Which are just fun stuff to give away. Every month, the company would release something brand new to give away to people. Sometimes it was bouncy light up balls, it was chocolate bar, whatever. It was always something zany and something fun. But what I learned through that and what we did that made us so successful is we created relationships with the gatekeepers all the way on up to the decision makers at these businesses. So we would show up every month. Once a month, you make your round. Just like the beat cop, you got to walk the beat and make sure that everybody knows your name. And by that second or third time around, you know what? Oh, they knew my name. Not only the name, they were looking forward to it. So I'd show up and they'd say, hey, Ronnell, good to see you. And I'd say, hey, what's going on? Here's your bouncy ball. Now let's do some business. And they did. It was a tremendous business model that has impacted me to this day. But again, the focus was to create relationships. That's how we did business. So 2004, that's when I started my first on the books company. And that company was a company by the name of RD Direct. And so I took all these lessons that I had learned from a very, very young age up until that point, and I just applied the things that I had seen that worked, which was really focusing on building advocates for the business, really focusing on creating strong relationships with our partners and our clients. And we had a really successful run with that company. And by the time that we turned that company down, we had roughly around 20,000 customers, business customers that we had served. And that's something I'm super proud of. But what set us up for that success is that, again, starting at that young age, all the way up through McLeod USA and learning the value of building these strong relationships. And I was able to change a lot of lives and impact a lot of people through that company. I'm super proud of that. Now, as we fast forward today, I oversee a few different brands. The Ronnell Richards brand is our consulting brand, Business and Bourbon, ComSol, IBA. But more importantly, I'm also really able to help a lot of other companies out there. So I'm taking these lessons that I've learned and we're impacting. There's some of the logos you'll see there at the bottom of your screen, but there's so many more companies that we're impacting through these brands and really utilizing some of these same philosophies in sales and marketing to help them with their brands. All right, so now that's out of the way. Now you know who the heck I am. So what am I going to talk about today? So what I'm going to talk about, I'm just going to talk about a couple of the leading technologies that you guys are probably using out there. Okay, I'm going to talk about them a little bit, talk about some of the benefits of them, right? And then we're going to talk about some of the old school things, that we used to do. And what I'm really hoping to do today and want to accomplish is I just want to agitate your brain. I want you guys to think differently. I want you to, these technologies that you all are using today, I want you to continue to use them because I love tech. I love it. I've made a pretty good career in tech, but I don't love the way that we use tech today. So I want to just agitate your brain and perhaps help you to think a little bit differently about how you're using these to be successful in your business. Okay, first one, automation and artificial intelligence. Automation and artificial intelligence. This is something that we're seeing at just tremendous scale today, aren't we? With the pandemic, since the pandemic has happened, it seems like everyone's jumping in the artificial intelligence and automation pool. So what's good about it? Well, what's good about it is that it's allowing you to automate processes, allowing you to be more efficient, right? So we're seeing a lot of intelligent response, intelligent outreach that's automated. That's pretty cool, right? Like the idea of artificial intelligence, which is essentially intelligent machines doing our jobs for us. Pretty cool. That is until Skynet comes in and creates the Terminators and the end of humanity. Before that, this is pretty awesome, right? Like there's a lot of great tech out there to help us to automate and to help us to do things that we don't necessarily want to do or that can be done easier using the AI. So we're seeing a lot of AI where it's intelligent response system. Some of the things that you guys are probably seeing more and probably using is just in simple communication. You email, direct message, text. Based upon how you communicate, how you answer something, it gets a different response. That's some of the cool stuff that we're doing with this technology today. Zoom, right? Now when I created this slide, I started to say web conferencing because as a tech guy, I've been in I've been selling these technologies for 15 years, but now it's just known as Zoom. It's easier to say Zoom. Everyone knows what Zoom is. Fantastic, right? I mean, what's awesome about this is that we can connect and talk to people all over the globe, right? And we can do that easily, we can do that efficiently, and for those of us in small business, we can do it inexpensively. Because when I was selling this technology 10 years ago, it was expensive, right? And now it's something that's super easy for us to do, and another way that we can connect with our customers. I love this tech. Last, CRM, customer relationship management tools, for those of you that aren't into the acronyms. So CRM, what it has allowed us to do is to take our database. See, back in 1985, when I was working in my parents' store, what they would do is all of our customers, we'd create a newsletter, right? And they literally would write down each of and phone numbers on a notepad, and that was our database. Well, now we can take base, right? We put it in a CRM. We can automate our outreach. We can do, there's so many powerful things through APIs. We can connect our CRM to our phone systems, to our financial software. And this is another technology that, thanks to software as a service, is affordable for small business. This isn't brand new, right? Enterprise has been using CRM for a very long time. However, small business couldn't afford that software. Now, as software as a service, we can all subscribe to this stuff, and it's awesome. And we can use it to control our database, to keep our communication with our customers. And there's so many powerful things that we can do with CRM. Those are a few of the top technologies that we're using right now. So now I want to take you back. I want to take you back a little bit to the old stuff, right? Remember this? When's the last time someone knocked on you? Old technology, knocking on, there were no old techniques. Knock on a door knocking, right? Door knocking is something I did a lot of, and probably a lot of you guys have done a significant amount of door knocking to promote your business, or to create sales, using this as a means of prospecting. Remember this one here, golf. You guys can remember a time that it was thought that in order to be a big player in business, you got to golf, because that's where all the deals are done. Deals are done on the golf course. So you got to learn how to golf. And thank God it's evolved a little bit, because my golf game is weak and takes too much time. And lastly, the telephone. That phone, calling people, smiling and dialing, right? These are some of the older ways that we use to connect and prospect and do sales in business. I want you guys to think about something. What is the common denominator in these forms, these old forms of doing business? Think about that. More relationship-based, right? More connection-based, reaching out, touching people, right? Last one, shaking a hand. Remember a handshake? Be careful now. I don't want to see you guys out there handshaking, unless you got your glove on. But yeah, you guys can remember a time when business was done with a handshake. Again, it was relationship based, right? All of those ways of doing business in the old way of doing business were relationship based. So, pros of the old style: solid relationships. That's what it was really about. Take you back to my career back in jewelry and beyond. It's all about relationships. The cons of that is it's not real. In today's current and pandemic environment, it's not very realistic, right? And then you look at the new stuff. What is the new stuff? What is the tech bringing us in business? It's bringing us efficiency. It's bringing us process. That's awesome. Here's what's bad. As I sit down with my clients and help them with their growth strategies and help them with charting the future of their business, one of the most common I hear is they are paralyzed by the tech. So it's awesome that now you have access to this great CRM, for example, but there's so many tools, there's so many things that you can do with it that you end up doing nothing. You end up doing nothing. And we're losing real connection and relationship, right? So we're using the tech, our communications, and guess what, guys? We're hip to it. We're hip to it now. Okay, so we know when it's a computer and when it's not, unless you're really good at it. So those are kind of some of those are the positive and negatives to the old stuff and the new stuff. So what I want you guys to take from this, and where I'm going with all of this, is tech is awesome. I heart tech. I love it. But I like tech while using an old school philosophy of doing business. Think about that. Old school philosophy of doing business. Why are you using the tech? How are you using the tech? Are you using the old school way of doing business? Because guess what? Technology always changes, right? But that philosophy of how we do business does not. What I learned at the jewelry store back in 1909, Ronnell, a friend. And if I go make a friend here in 2020, guess what? That still works, right? So I want you guys to think about merging that philosophy of how we do business while leveraging the. One of the things that when I'm talking to my clients about implementing new technology, is I always tell them to use this, if you want to call it the golden rule for how you utilize or implement technology is, does it create a barrier or a bridge? Are you using that technology in a way to funnel people to have real meaningful business communication and relationships? That simple rule, that's somewhere where a lot of people go wrong. So I just want you guys to think about that as you're thinking about implementing tech or that you're currently. It can funnel them to me and having a real communication, live communication. Because guess what? That stuff's not going in anywhere anytime soon. I'm telling you that. In fact, it's as we're going into 2021, people are going to be starving for that, even because we've been so distant. We're going to be starved for that real human connection in business. Things that I tell my clients and kind of help them with implementation of some of this great tech. Slow down and implement in phases. Remember, again, that paralysis thing. All of these the technologies that we're using, they're coming out with new features, new APIs every single day, and it's fantastic. We love it, but you can't do it all. You can't do it all. You got to think about what's most important and build from that. So for CRMs, for example, I talk to my clients about, let's just get control of our data. Do this, and that, and all these other things, but let's just get control of our database first. So let's make sure we get our clients in there and we're consistent about adding our clients. We're consistent about adding our client communications, and then use the tools outreach. Again, use the tech as a conduit to real live interactions, not to replace communication, but to facilitate live communication. Guys, I want you to think about what's going to matter 6-9 months from now. What's going to matter then? People are going to continue to want more connection. So you need to use these technologies in a way to where you can connect with people. Not only are you going to want more connection, but our BS meters are high. You guys know they're high because you see it. You in these email, direct messages, all the other things that we're doing. You know, in your heart of heart, you know what's right. You know, not right, but you know what is real and what isn't. You know what is coming from the robot and what is coming from an individual. So that leads to the last point. Sit on the other side. As you're thinking about implementing different technologies for your business, whether it's sales, marketing, whatever, think about, would these technologies be effective on you? As a sales coach and sales consultant, what I see a lot is that so eager to implement a technology to get business that we just follow templates and we follow, and we're not using our brain to think, would this actually work on me? Because if it wouldn't work on you, if it wouldn't work for you, then why are you? Those are a couple of things that I encourage my clients to do when they think about implementing some of these technologies, specifically in sales and marketing. So now is the time that you guys have all been waiting for, the template for success, because that's what we live in. Template. Yep, it's like download these seven rules will make you successful on LinkedIn. These six things, do these six things. That is the world that we live in. And guess what? You're making those guys rich, but what I'm seeing from my clients is not a lot of success. What I want to talk to you guys, or what I'm trying to impart on you guys is that there is no template to this. The tech is awesome, but I want you to use the tech differently. I want you to think about your philosophy. So again, we're merging the with the technology. When you can't go wrong. Think about your philosophy for using the tech. What is it that I'm trying to accomplish at the end of the day by implementing this technology? And if your philosophy is to use this tech to leverage real connection, to leverage real business relationships, can't go wrong, right? But that's what this is all. That's what it's all about. Philosophy. So I don't have a template for you. There's no template because it's different for each one of your businesses. But if you use that framework, that framework for thinking, you use that philosophy for how you're going to implement and use these, you'll be successful. All right. So while I don't have a template, I'm going to give you a couple of examples in my business on how I do it. Here's one, for example, because everyone's on Zoom right now. Everyone's on Zoom, and in one of my companies, we are having tremendous success with a Zoom event. How can I be having tremendous success with it? Like, what are we, 6, 7, 8? It feels like forever into the pandemic. Everybody is zoomed out. You guys are zoomed out. Everybody is zoomed out. How are we having tremendous success? How are we doing more this month than we did the previous month and more that month than we did the month before that? I will tell you how, because we are using the technology the right way. We are again using that. How do we create connection using this tech? See, in my company, Business and Bourbon, we've done events for a long time, and we're very intentional about how we do events. And do these are in-person events, and we do them in a way to where we can really connect with people, and they're super and they're fun, all that good stuff. So as you think about virtual, well, how can we do that on Zoom? How can we do that in a virtual environment? Well, here's how. What you're seeing there on your screen is we create an experience and we leverage the tech by sending out a box to our participants in these events, right? We want to bring some sort of connection. So we send a box to them. Which is something that a lot of you guys can do for some of your different Zoom. It doesn't have to be an event. It can be, if you're educating clients or whatever, send them something, get something in their hands, something they can feel, right? And then we leverage the tools in the tech. One of the things that I've learned through really going in and creating this for our clients is that that are already built into these systems, whether it's Zoom or the other web conferencing platforms, are amazing for collaboration if you actually use them. Okay, so the chat, the Q&A, all of these things are fantastic, great ways to keep people engaged, which builds connection. Keep them engaged. The worst thing you can do is just lecture. No, we're done. We're done. So I want you guys to think about that. That's one of the ways that we use that particular technology. Again, it's all about the philosophy. We use it to create an experience and use the tech for collaboration at a level that we wouldn't even be able to have in person because of how we're using it. Our in-person event, I am talking to you, and you're not able to collaborate with the other people that are that are present and talk about fun things and make jokes and all those sorts of things. So use the tools that are already within that particular those platforms to have greater levels of collaboration. Here's a fun one. So as we talk about CRMs, I talk about CRMs a lot because CRMs are so fundamental to business and how we do business. They're like the basic building block that you can add everything to make your business and work really well. So one of the things that we do for personal communication and leveraging the CRM in this virtual world is I am a massive advocate of personal video. Personal video. And when I'm talking about personal video, I'm not talking about your highly produced commercial. I'm talking about what you see right here, me talking to you. And so we use personal video and our greater greater connection with our clients and our partners. What you're seeing in the middle is our Monday morning message. That goes up every single Monday, regardless of where I am at. I may be in an airport in Washington, D.C., or dropping my kid off at high school. I will do a little message of motivation, something that maybe just something I want to share with our network of clients and business partners, and we use our CRM to be able to scale that, right? So personal message, which we send out to our CRM, and it's, again, super personal, which I can't say that enough. When it comes to personal video, make sure that it's not produced, because when your focus and your philosophy is on connecting, what connects better? With the backdrop or this guy talking to you. So that's one of the things that we do to leverage our CRM and use technology to really make an impact and trust tremendous impact. So yeah, that's another way that we use it internally, and we get a lot of results from that. So I want to encourage you guys to be unique, right? Get outside the damn box, because right now everything is very, very templated. And when you're getting into implementing technologies that you're unfamiliar with, that's usually where we go. We go to the templates. I'm not one that says don't ever use templates. No, templates are a good starting point, absolutely, but we got to get beyond them. You got to get unique. You got to think about what others are doing and do something more. So what I see in our technology adoption is that a lot of times our technology adoption is we're not thinking as we're adopting it. We're just adopting it because it's what we're supposed to do, and it's going to increase efficiency, but we're really not thinking about how we use it. Again, that was the focus of this whole speech today, is that I want you guys to think differently, okay? Use the tech, but think about how we're using it, and if we're using it to create these connections that we want. So, as we start to wrap up and get into Q&A here, which I can't wait. I love Q&A. It's my favorite part. I want to encourage you guys to join my network. Join my network. So if you go to businessbourbon.live, join the network. We're going to send out some random gifts to some of you guys. We're going to send out some copies of the Rehumanize Your Business book, which is the Bible on personal video. I am actually featured in that book, which is pretty cool. We're going to send out some of my webinar as well. Which it goes down in the DMs, which is something that has been transformative for a lot of folks out there, and helping them to learn how to prospect indirect message, especially now because everybody's doing it and so many are doing it. We'll just say not the best way. And last but not least, I'm going to send out some Business and Bourbon boxes. Sorry, no liquor in them, but they're some of our Business and Bourbon whiskey experience boxes. So you'll have all the tools, you get the glass and the cool box and all that sort of thing. And all you do is go to businessbourbon.live and sign up as one of our members. That's it, for free. And last, as we get into Q&A here, you guys want to know how to connect with me? That's where you connect. I am everywhere. Feel free to listen to our podcast, Business and Bourbon. LinkedIn, go to ronnellrichards.com, businessbourbon.live. We're everywhere. All right, now to our favorite part, my favorite part rather, which is our Q&A. Ashley.
Hey, friend.
Hi there, friend.
I love your energy, so I'm super pumped about this Q&A. So the first one we have on deck, how are you pushing out your Monday message videos?
Nice. So we use, for that, we use CoVideo. We love CoVideo. They're a great company. I love them because they are and if anyone that wants to know, wants a direct connect in there for your company, reach out to me. We'll get you direct connect. They really take care of our network. So we use CoVideo, and I also use Zoho as my CRM platform. So that's where we, track all of that stuff as well.
Do you have any advice when managing the CRM on how people should be segmenting their data to get the best use out of it?
How you should segment your data to get the best use out of it. Who's asking that? And can I get a little more context? Give me a use case.
Yeah, so you said at one point refocusing back on your CRM and making sure that your data was in there, so that was a good place to start. What's the way that you're using it, and sort of what are some sub segments when you're staying in contact with people in your database? Are you contacting them for their birthday? Is there some other clever way that you know to segment your data to reach out to them during the year?
Okay, that's a great question. All right, so first and foremost, so I have several different businesses that we manage through our CRM. So in terms of how we segment them, it's different for different things, right? So I'll just use Business and Bourbon for example. So Business and Bourbon, we have our listeners and people that are on the platform, that watch the platform, listen to the platform. We have our sponsors and our with sponsors obviously being the corporate partners that pay for events, and so we use different things to reach out to different people. Just answer your question the best way. I have kind of a guiding philosophy behind how we keep connected to people. It has to be about the constant emails about buying stuff, which, by the way, I'm not a guy that shies away from. I'm a sales guy, not at all. But what we do in our network is we just try to provide more value. I'll give you a perfect example with our sponsors, our corporate sponsors, is we send a weekly whiskey suggestion, right? A weekly whiskey that I've curated, and a recipe from either my master taster or my master chef who does our food events. And so we send that out every week, and because I want to stay top of mind, right? And so it's a way of touching and giving them something that is of value to them that they care about. And because half the time I see in businesses with some of the folks that I work with, they're losing out on business simply because they're not present, because their customers forget about them. I have a client that, God, great, really good guy, has a birthday. I guess that's cool. I mean, if it's touch points, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think about things, try to think about some things that are outside of the box that are going to bring value to their life. It doesn't even have to be directly related to your business or what it is that you do. It could just be something that brings value that's going to keep you top of mind.
That's a really good segue into our next question. You're getting some compliments on sending out physical objects along with your virtual experience. Was it difficult for you to get people to give you their mailing addresses when you first launched that program?
No.
No.
I'm sorry, guys. You wanted
That's a simple one.
Give you the strategy for doing it to get it. No, it hasn't been. This is the world that we live in now, guys. Especially now. This is people are more comfortable with that. So not all of our folks that are participating do we ship to their house. Some of them we ship to their offices, but it's probably 75-80% to their home. So that's not something that I've had an issue with. What's next, Ashley?
Let's see. All right. So if you guys have any questions, you can drop it in the chat or drop it in our Q&A box. We'll wait to see how some of those queue up. So I have a question for you. How did you come up with the concept of business and bourbon? So I'm assuming you were doing in-person events prior to COVID. And so these boxes that you're sending out now is part of your pandemic pivot?
Yeah, part of it. So there is one of my favorite, I don't want to quote, whatever you want to call it. It's from a Rumi. You guys know Rumi. probably ton of you guys know Rumi. Anyhow, Rumi says that you walk the way and the way will appear, right? So that's kind of how business and bourbon began. That's how most of my businesses began. I start going in a direction, and then you just pay attention, and you pay attention to where the opportunities are, and you just, because that path to success isn't straight. It's going to go like this, right? And so you just don't think that you're always right, and try to get it right. And when you're focused on getting it right, you pivot, you adjustments. So business and bourbon, when we started business, started for me to share my experiences as a what many people serial entrepreneur. I felt compelled to kind of share my message, and bring people onto the platform that had a similar message. I just felt that there was so much misinformation as it relates to business and entrepreneurship, and so many folks out there talking a lot of game hadn't actually really done anything. So I said, you know what? I want to share my truth and bring others onto the platform to share their truth. So that's how it started. And we started creating some great content, doing a show that we've filmed from tons of locations, distilleries and everything, but everything's always been centered around business and business, sharing business wisdom, sharing sales and marketing wisdom. And that has just gone, it's splintered off. It started as a tree and it splintered off into areas. What I want you guys to take from it is I was open to these different branches. And when we saw something that was, hey, this is an opportunity, we really leaned heavy into it. So now as we look today and what is business and bourbon, yes, we have a podcast. Yes, we've got tons of online content. Yes, we do live in-person shows that we've done all across the U.S. And outside the U.S. a little bit. Private whiskey experiences, virtual and in person. We're doing a lot of different things. And we're working on a show too, so don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. It's in pre-production right now. Anyway, so yeah, that's. It would take me too long to tell you guys everything, but what I'd like you guys is just that road to entrepreneurship success is something that it's not a road that goes straight. You just got to keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, pay attention, and when it's time to pivot, there's tons of people that are killing it right now in the pandemic. A lot of my clients right now killing it because they saw an opportunity and they pivoted a little bit.
Really being open to where that path can go. What's the biggest misconception that you've heard about leveraging old school strategy styles?
That they they don't work, which is, these fundamental things that we teach in sales and we teach in sales and business have not changed. They haven't changed for 100 years. People will read a Zig Ziglar book from 60 years ago, and guess what? It'll be just as applicable today as it was then, because the philosophies are sound. That's why, like in my consulting practice, we focus on frameworks. Frameworks evolve, they adjust, but you can apply them to any type of business. It's the same as philosophies on how we do business. The tech, again, like I said in the presentation, tech is going to change. It's going to evolve. But I think probably, again, actually the biggest misconception is that because something is old, that it doesn't work. There are very few things that are new. Very few in terms of the world. Things that we have a tendency to get a little hyperbolic and think that whatever's going on right now, this is the craziest thing, or this has never happened. No, most everything has happened. So if we just learn from the past and use some of these philosophies and ways of doing business and sales that have been tried and true many decades before we ever were in existence, the stuff still works. Now with this technology that we have, technology is how you put gasoline on it. Because the technology now allows us to do things that we can never do before. Ashley, I do business with people all over the globe. That's crazy. That's crazy. Everyone watching this can do business with people all over the globe. It's because of the tech. But I do business with people all over the globe because they connect with me. It's not just because I have a product. It's because they connect.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this next question. Do you have any advice for nonprofits or causes that might not be as sexy, or without the same sales budgets as businesses, to be seen and cut through the noise of the pandemic?
So here's how I'll answer that. First of all, love nonprofits. Worked with a lot of nonprofits over the years. So in sales, we have kind of a fundamental rule, or it's fundamental to sales that I teach. I talk about this every day, and it is that emotion motivates and ration educates. Right? As a nonprofit, you are all emotion. It's all emotion. You have a tremendous tool to motivate people with you. So the question is you, or rather, not the question, but where you have to go with that is really be intentional in understanding who it guys serving, who needs to hear the message. I don't think a lot of businesses spend enough time, a lot of businesses, a lot of salespeople spend enough time really understanding who their target is, who their ideal client profile is. Yes, you do a little spreadsheet, Excel sheet, and say this person could buy this pen, and this person likes black pens or whatever, but we don't understand on really holistically on an intimate level who we serve, who needs to hear our message. The nonprofits, you have the greatest mechanism, the mechanism that all of us are using or trying to use to motivate people to buy from us. It's inherent in what you do. So spend more time focusing on who is the target for that, and spend more energy focusing just on that target. It's like I tell my sellers, everyone doesn't have to like you. Everyone doesn't have to like you. Everyone doesn't have to need you. Find your people. That's how we operate our business. Some of the things we do are kind of, I guess you could say, nichey. That's cool. In the niche, tons of money in the niche. So you just got to be really do more time, spend more work on figuring out who needs to hear our message, and then just stay focused on and don't get blindsided. All business isn't good business, right? Stay focused on them, stay focused on that target, and that would be my advice for not just not for profits, but there.
As we wrap up our last minute with you, Ronnell, thank you so much for the session. I see Destin popping in. As he gets his camera going, what would be your last words of advice for everybody who's on the call with us this afternoon?
I'm just going to keep hammering home, guys. Philosophy. It's all about the philosophy, all about the love, right? Philosophy. The philosophy has to be forging connection. How do we use this fantastic tech to bring people to us, right? To facilitate real conversation, to facilitate a real in-person meeting, whatever it is. Just think about how to use the tech to leverage real. That's how you have success long term. The long game is all relationship based, guys. All relationship based. Thank you all for spending a little time with me. I hope that you got a little bit from it. Thank you so much to the organizers and the sponsors of this event for having me on.
Thank you, Ronnell. Man, that was awesome. I love the ideas that you brought and the energy that you brought to this last session of today.